Welcome to another episode of the Gull Mouth Action podcast, where we take a look at all the latest goings on at Brighton, Hove Albion and Crawley Town. I'm Matt Polt, and this week I'm joined by Brighton writer Derren Howard, Crawley Town expert Mark Dunford and Sam Morton, who covers both the Seagulls and the Reds. Brighton suffered their first loss of the 2025-26 Premier League season against Everton at a rocking Hill Dickinson Stadium on Sunday, but advanced to the third round of the Carabao Cup with a resounding victory at Oxford on Wednesday evening. Crawley Town, meanwhile, remains searching for a first League Two win after falling to Tranmere Rovers. This week, we'll look back at Albion's defeat at the Toffees and their midweek League Cup win at Oxford, preview Sunday's home clash against Man City, and bring you all the fallout from the Reds' loss to Rovers. You can read all the stories we are talking about with videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. Everton started Premier League life at their magnificent new stadium on the banks of the River Mersey with the first victory of the season against Brighton. Jack Grealish's driven cross was turned in by Ilman and Dye after 23 minutes. Grealish's pass then found James Garner for a blockbuster finish from 25 yards 7 minutes after the break. Safe to say it was a difficult day at the office for the Seagulls, although I think we all kind of expected it a little bit. What was the performance like, Derren? Lots of positives to take from that?
There were some positives to take from it. Is, as you say, it's always going to be a tough ask for Brighton, in that atmosphere up at in the new stadium, which was great, really. That the whole facility looked really good from the outside, and then when you get inside as well, there's the sort of the steep elevation creates a really great atmosphere in the stadium, which I think is going to be great for Everton for the next many years. So really good sort of positive from that side of things. But for Brighton, they should have been 2-0 up really before Everton opened the scoring. They had a couple of really good chances. Danny Welbeck missed one from close range, and then Jan-Paul van Hecker, he hit the post as well. Matt O'Reilly, he had a great chance when he latched on to a loose back pass from James Tarkowski. So they really should have had their noses in front. But then when they went behind, the Everton fans really got behind their team, and it was very difficult for Brighton after that. And then they conceded fairly early in the second half as well. Long range effort from James Garner, another Jack Grealish assist, who was quite dangerous throughout. It's a bit disappointing, really. Bart Verbruggen probably feel as though he should have got a hand onto the shot. So perhaps quite a soft goal for Albion to concede. And then later on, Danny Welbeck missed a penalty with about 10 minutes to go. Which would have, if that had gone in, that could have made quite a nervy, final 10 minutes. But there were some positives to come out of it as well. It's good to see Jack Hinchelwood. He got 45 minutes, and then he played again last night in the Carabao Cup win. So he's sort of working his way back to full fitness as well, which is a boost ahead of this weekend's game against Manchester City. So I think and remember, they were missing Jorginho Ruter as well. He's been quite key for them. He's been leading the line in the attack, and he missed the game against Everton. There's hoping that he'll be back for the City game as well. So yeah, there's lots to work on. They need to sort of tidy up on a few bits as they were alluding to. But it's not all doom and gloom. The performances have been okay, but they just need that sharpness in front of goal that they've been lacking at the moment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And as you quite plainly mentioned there, Derren, Albion had plenty of chances to take home at least a point from their visit to Merseyside. I know that Zeller has said he's quite happy with his squad, and Brighton spent quite a bit of money during the summer transfer window. But are Albion crying out for an experienced striker before that window slammed shut, Derren? It was pretty damning towards the end that defender Van Heck was being thrown up front from the Seagulls, and 9 times out of 10 he was offside from what I saw of it.
Yeah, it was one of those needs must. You stick the biggest bloke you've got on the pitch and pop him up front and see if anything can happen. But yeah, it did highlight perhaps a slight lack of depth in that area, and I think the injury to Jorginho that was a factor in Van Hecker playing up front for those last few moments. But Danny Welbeck will hopefully be involved again against Manchester City. He did miss a couple of chances and the penalty as well, but he's proven over the years that he's an absolute class act. And I'm sure he'll be keen to make amends against Manchester City. And if Jorginho is available as well, that gives them an extra depth there. And they've got the 2 Greek lads as well. He was who came on and played. Tissimas got 2 goals against Oxford in last night. Whether he features against Manchester City or not, there's been Herzella was keen to sort of rein back the buzz around him at the moment, and just to say that we're already 3-0 up at the time when he came on. So starting a Premier League match is a completely different situation to what he found himself in that time. So we'll have to wait and see how they go against Manchester City, whether he will be involved or not. But I think with Welbeck, Jorginho, and then the young lads coming through, I don't think there's going to be any sort of major rush to bring in any new additions before the transfer window closes.
Well, while we may have spoken about their goal-scoring woes in the Premier League, they absolutely battered Mark Dunford's Oxford on Wednesday night, thumping them 6-0. Plenty of Brighton debutants amongst the goal scorers, Derren. What did you make of that performance? And is Stefanos Tsitsipas the Seagulls' new goal-scoring saviour?
He could well be. But it was really encouraging to see, and the energy that he brought when he came on is obviously really encouraging. The way he took his goals as well, he's in two instinctive finishes, which is what you want to see. You see these young players coming through, and then when they get their opportunities on goal, to take it in the manner that he did was really encouraging, and that just shows the potential that he has, and hopefully he can then go on and keep improving, and then deliver that onto the Premier League stage as well. And the way he celebrated with the fans as well, I think that showed a lot of sort of spirit that he has in him as well, and the fans really will really take to him if he continues to show that sort of energy and that skill in front of goal as well, which is something that Brighton needed. Obviously, João Pedro left last summer for Chelsea, and Brighton needs someone who's capable of coming in and delivering on those big moments. And the hope is that he will be able to do that in the future, as well as Charalampos Kostoulas as well, who came on and showed some encouraging touches as well. But Tissimas looks as though he's going to be a really solid signing for the future for Brighton, and he'll be really hoping to make his mark in the Premier League in the next sort of particularly after the international break, I would have thought.
Absolutely. And for those who don't know, and I include myself in this, Derren, the draw for the Carabao Cup third round was last night. Who did Brighton pull out that?
They've got another long trip, so they're going to be at Barnsley in the next round. Piece up online late last night, so they'll be at Barnsley in the next round of the Carabao Cup. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to progress further in the competition. You saw sort of the lift it gave. Herzella spoke about it this morning in the press conference that after the late equaliser against Fulham, the loss at Everton, morale can quickly slip, and that result last night, albeit in a Carabao Cup against lower opposition, has boosted morale. It gave a chance for some of these players that haven't seen much game time, some minutes on the pitch, players making their debuts, really encouraging debuts as well, not just Tissimas. There was Tommy Watson, who came off the bench, and his goal was probably the best of the bunch last night. Curled it into the top corner. I like the look of Oliver Boscagli as well at the back. I thought he looks a really good addition as well defensively. Diego Coppola, he made his debut as well. So these cup competitions can provide a real boost in terms of how the team feels throughout the whole season, and hopefully they can keep their progress going at Barnsley as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What we've spoken about Tsitsipas, and it should be mentioned that, as Derren said, Kostoulas also made his Albion debut on Wednesday, playing the final 12 minutes of the tie. Sam Morton, welcome back. Hopefully you sorted out all your issues. Derren's spoken about Tsitsipas and Kostoulas, but do you think that we should now expect to see the Greek pair feature more regularly? I know that Herzella at the time was quite keen to state that they didn't have the so-called Premier League experience for them to be in consideration. How do you see things now?
Yeah, so hopefully the Brighton attack is more secure than my internet connection is today. But I seem to be back up and running. Zimas, yeah, I was very impressed by him at Oxford. Obviously, 2 very well taken goals, and he even got an assist for Watson as well. And I think it's one of those where he's shown what he can do, but obviously the Premier League is a different level, and Hertzler has urged fans to be patient. And he said it was already 3-0, so it's not the intensity you can expect in a Premier League game. For sure, he's closer with the step today, but I'm not sure he will be an option for the weekend against Man City. We have to see how he reacts. And in the press today, Hertzler said Zimas is further along than Kosciuszko in terms of being in a Premier League squad, but they're both getting closer. So yeah, I think it's really exciting. I think Zimas brings the goal scoring instinct, and obviously we've not seen much from Kosciuszko yet, but from what we've heard, he's a skillful and versatile player as well. And I think they've both got an incredibly exciting mix of abilities between them, and I think it's exciting for Brighton. And a lot will depend on how they get on, I think, in terms of Brighton's goal scoring form, because there is definitely a João Pedro shaped hole in the attack. Jorginho is obviously featured in the false 9 role. I don't think that's his best position. I think he's better playing a little bit deeper to start the attacks rather than to finish them. Danny Welbeck was obviously rusty against Everton, so it'll be interesting to see if he can replicate last season's excellent goal scoring form. But obviously it's a big ask because he was so brilliant last season. And ironically, with Evan Ferguson impressing at Roma, you do wonder if Albion should have kept him. If he can stay fit, he's still such a great option. But I think if Ferguson can continue this form at Roma, he'll come back to Brighton at the end of it, a reborn player as well. So I think there's definitely room for optimism at Brighton, but I think they definitely need to be patient, despite what we've seen from Zimas at Oxford.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. This Sunday sees Albion host Manchester City in the Premier League, who also tasted defeat for the first time last weekend. City were beaten 2-0 by Thomas Frank's Spurs on Saturday, a result which sees them 6th, albeit we've only had 2 games. What's the latest from both camps going into this one, Derren? And is there a feeling that this City team isn't quite as formidable as previous seasons? I say that now, and they'll probably end up scoring about 6 or 7. So I apologise to fans in advance for saying that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Yeah, they lost 2-0 at Tottenham. But yeah, they were my tip to win the Premier League this season. So I still think that they're such a dangerous team. You look at the players that they've brought in recently. They've got Erling Haaland as well, who's you think there's 30 goals in there, at least this season, and he always seems to play pretty well against Brighton as well. So I'm really looking forward to that to the tussle with him and Van Hecker. They had a great battle at the Amex Stadium in their previous match last season. It had Pep Guardiola on the pitch and having a go at Van Heck after the game. It was quite a good sort of to and fro between the two, as if Erling Haaland needs anyone backing up for his argument. I would have thought, but Pep was in there anyway. So, but yeah, it's one of these games that I really look forward to. I love watching Manchester City play. I think they play some great football. They always have over the last few years, and it's going to be a real test for Brighton. And it's one which you hope that the midweek result against Oxford will give them a morale boost going into this one. It's in front of their home supporters. They had the disappointment of the game, the last minute equaliser against Fulham. So you're going to hope that Brighton are really going to be keyed up for this one, and they're going to have to be at their highest level possible to get a result against Man City. But in terms of injury news, Jorginho Rutter, hopefully he'll be back. Herzella spoke about him in the press conference just moments ago. Hopefully he's going to be available. Adam Webster and Solly March are the long-term absentees. So we'll see what's happened there. So he's got a strong squad to choose from. Carlos Baliba, he said he is ready to play 90 minutes. He played 60 minutes against Fulham, and then he was hooked at half-time against Everton. So he did say that he is available to play 90 minutes, and we'll see how he goes from there. But yeah, it's going to be a great game, one I'm looking forward to on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. And best of luck to Brighton against City this weekend. Now we'll take a look at the latest goings on at Crawley Town, who are still searching for a first win in League Two. Second half goals from Nathan Smith and Amari Patrick saw Tranmere run out 2-0 winners at the Broadfield Stadium, a result which condemned the Reds to their worst start in 15 years as an EFL club. I must admit, Mark, I thought that this would be the game where Crawley really turned it on, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case, was it?
No, it wasn't. And it's another one of those games where you look at the stats and Crawley dominated. I mean, possession-wise, 63%, 20 shots to Tranmere's 11, 3 on target to Tranmere's 2, 77% pass accuracy to Tranmere's 61%, 381 passes to 221. So everything in stats-wise, it was in Crawley's favour, but they just didn't score, and it was the missed chances that really cost them. And Lindsay said they went into the game with confidence after the MK Dons display a few days before, but they just could not score. And he said they were brilliant in the first half, but yeah, you've got to score. And he said it was actually draining the amount of chances they had, and every time they missed a chance, it drains me. He said we're not ruthless enough in front of goal. We're nowhere near ruthless enough in front of goal, and then what happens is we become naive how we defend our box. And he said we've got to become better at both in both boxes if we want to start winning games. I mean, I know we're going to come on to it, but he highlighted the experience difference. I think Tranmere's team had 2,000 league appearances between them, whereas Crawley's had 400. So it's a bit of difference, but it's all about the know-how. And I think that's where Lindsay's team is struggling at the moment. A lot of them don't know how to win a League Two game. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is experience. It's being streetwise, isn't it? Maybe employing a bit more dark arts. There's a lot of naivety in the play. And I think, Lindsay's got quite a job in his hand to getting this team to gel. But he did it before with the team that won promotion. When you look at that squad, there were so many youngsters in that squad, so many people from non-league, and he worked wonders with them. So there's every chance you could do it again. Hopefully, it's just a bit of fact that the team hasn't gelled together yet, but the finishing is a bit of a problem.
Yes, and how big of a concern is that for Crawley, Sam? Like Brighton, it seems they create plenty of chances, but don't seem to have any kind of cutting edge. Do you think this was always going to be the danger for Crawley, bringing in a whole host of new forwards during the summer?
Yeah, it's not looking too good at the moment. Obviously, just 2 goals in 5 league games this season so far. Adi Adiemo and Max Anderson obviously being those goal scorers. And I do think that Harry McCurdy was very unlucky not to score against Tranmere. He was very lively, and hopefully the goals will come. But of course, it is a concern because at the end of the day, goals in football matches. Goals win football matches, and currently Crawley are not taking the chances to do that. And ironically, Will Swan is quite prolific with Bradford at the moment. Obviously, after leaving Crawley, he got three goals in the last 3 games and 4 in the last 5. And that kind of player seemingly is what Crawley are missing, even though he wasn't particularly prolific at Crawley. So there's something they need to sort out in that department, and maybe to create more goal scoring chances, more clear-cut opportunities to score. But speaking to club media, Scott Lindsay was asked if there was a lack of confidence in the team, and he said we certainly didn't start the game with a lack of confidence after Tuesday night's performance. We went into the game really confident, front foot ready, and he thought we were brilliant in the first half, but we've got to score. You look at all the stats, probably have a higher XG than them. We're probably higher possession stats and more shots on goal, more shots on target. But at the end of the day, if you've not got the know-how to do it, you're not going to do it. It's as simple as that. He actually said it's quite draining for him to see miss chance after chance. They're not ruthless enough in front of goal. And they're a bit naive about how they defend as well. So, yeah, lots of problems for Crawley, but hopefully they can sort them out and get back to winning ways pretty sharpish.
As you said, Mark, Crawley manager seems desperate to add some experience to his team and revealed he would look to further strengthen the Red squad before the transfer window closes. We've talked about this off the podcast a little bit, haven't we, Mark? It does kind of feel like a double-edged sword to me. The Reds have already made 12 signings this summer, which might explain why they haven't quite clicked into gear yet, but they do desperately need some experience. How do you see things?
Yeah, no, exactly that. It did seem Lindsay said when he was talking about that, from after signing Kyle Scott, we didn't make a signing for 6 weeks. It slowed right down through nobody's fault, but we needed the momentum to continue. I mean, when you say that, what was he going to sign 12 more players in 6 weeks?
Yeah,
I know what he's saying. Obviously, he had this squad together, and at that point, it looked like a complete squad. But he obviously wanted more players in, and for whatever reasons, it didn't happen. But yeah, bringing in experience is great. But where are you going to get a good experienced League Two player at this point of the season, of the transfer window? So it's going to be difficult. I mean, Scott always talks about how long it takes to sign a player as well, because you have to make sure they're the right fit for the changing room, right fit for his system, whether they can develop under the way Scott Lindsay wants to play, etc. So there's a lot of factors that go into signing a player. So whether they've got a few players that they've been looking at all summer and they haven't been able to get over the line, and maybe a couple are coming in. But I said, when I spoke to him it was last week, I think he said maybe one or two more. But from the way he was speaking after Saturday's result, you sense that he wants a little bit more than that. And it's the experience that they need. But experience is going to cost them money. So it's very, very difficult. But like I said earlier, he worked wonders with that team squad in the promotion winning season, which is similar in the sense that we've got players who did well in non-league, who have sort of been on the outskirts of other teams on the sort of squad players and that. So hopefully he can do the same. It's just taking a little bit longer to gel this time, maybe. But there's some good players there. I mean, Kabi Shamanga, he's struggled up front. He scored his goal against Swansea, but he's working really hard. He's holding the ball up well, but he just can't seem to score at the moment. And Harry McCurdy, like Sam just said, should have scored against Tranmere. So it's just one of those things where, I mean, we'll still be saying this in 2 weeks' time, but it's just got to click. It's just got to click. And I think I was saying to you earlier, Matt, I think Orsi took a while to score his first goal for Crawley. And when he did, he didn't stop scoring. And if you look at, I think it was the second half of that promotion winning season, Crawley were incredible. And I'm not saying that the fans are going to be patient enough to wait until January for them to really kick on. But the signs are there that we know what Scott Lindsay can do with a squad of players that haven't got experience, that he can coach and get and play in their system. So I'm confident. But the same fans that said that Will Swan was useless. So I always liked Will Swan. I thought he was good.
I know it's probably very premature and quite alarmist, but at what point do you think that we can or should start panicking if they're in the same position?
I think, I mean, you look at the next two games. I know we're going to come on to Chesterfield, but they've got Chesterfield away and Harrogate away. Yeah. Two really tough trips, two long trips against tough sides. So I don't think you can put much judgment if they go the next two games without winless. But then they've got Cheltenham at home. Yeah. And I think they got an EFL trophy game against Aston Villa under 21s. And I can't remember who it is after that. But if they don't get a good result against Cheltenham, because Cheltenham are one of the few teams that have got a worse record than Crawley this season so far, I think that's when the alarm bells start to ring a little bit. The next couple of home games are going to be absolutely key for them, and we know what the fans are like. Well, all football fans are like it. You go to get into 6-7 games without a win. This panic really sets in, alarm bells going. But it's like Scott said, it's a 46 game season. Yeah. There's a lot of football left to play. I mean, the start hasn't helped them with their confidence in that, but I still think they will be fine. But I don't think they will be as fine as I thought they were at the beginning of the season.
Yes, it makes for an interesting season at least. It does. For better or for worse. Going back to transfers, last week saw the Reds bring in defender Geraldo Badrami on a season-long loan for Burton Albion. The 25-year-old made his debut off the bench against Tranmere on Saturday. Sam Morton, what did Lindsay have to say about the signing? And what did the new boy himself have to say about making the move to Broadfield Stadium?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. As you say, Badrami can play in a variety of defensive and defensive midfield positions. The 25-year-old signed for the Brewers in June 2024 from Notts County, having previously represented Birmingham City and the Kidderminster Harriers. But Lindsay said he can play as a midfield player and as a centre-back, so he can provide a lot of cover for a lot of positions, but he's not saying that he signed him as cover. So he's obviously someone that could potentially be a regular in the team. And in terms of the player himself, he's absolutely buzzing to finally get it done. It's been in the pipeline for a while. And he knows the situation the last couple of years hasn't been too great in terms of injuries. But he's really thankful for the opportunity to prove himself again and just wants to repay Crawley by performing on the pitch. But he describes himself as a cool, calm, collected and aggressive when he needs to be, with a good range of passing. He says, I'm a winner. And he said, in terms of the season so far, how it's been for him, he's been quite steady, recovering from injury he had last season, training all pre-season with the first 45 minutes, as you mentioned. So he feels good and just wants to play more. So yeah, an encouraging one for Crawley, and hopefully he can be an important player this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope he can make a positive impact. And as you mentioned, Mark, the Reds are off to Chesterfield this Saturday. And they've had quite a good start. The Spire sit second, having won 4 of their opening 5 games, with just goal difference separating them and early league leaders Crew. What's the latest injury news from the Reds? And is there any hope for Crawley at Chesterfield this weekend? I like to be of the opinion that after backing Crawley to win loads and not winning, that if we say they're going to get absolutely spanked, they're going to end up getting a result at Chesterfield. So I think that's how it works.
Yes, that's absolutely how it works. They're going to get absolutely battered. No, I mean, there's always hope, isn't there? Crawley they always sort of seem to step up against the top sides. It hasn't worked so far this year, but they have had a really tough start. And the last trip you'd want, I think, when you're in the form you are, is away at Chesterfield this season. Really experienced side, experienced manager in Paul Cook. He talked about the comparison with the amount of league appearances against Tranmere. I counted up the league appearances for Chesterfield starting 11 from last Saturday, and I think it was 1,500 league appearances compared to Crawley's 490, whatever it was. And the 2 Chesterfield centre-backs, Carl McFadden, former Crawley man, and Che Dunkley, they've got over 700 appearances alone between them. So when you're not scoring and you're coming up against a very experienced defence, that's not great, is it? So, it's going to be interesting how Lindsay plays this one, whether he tries to change anything because of that, because he's highlighted the difference in experience and know-how. Does he bring in Louis Flower to play up top on his own? Maybe Harry McCurdy as a striker? And because we've got Gavin Houlihan will be back from his suspension this week. So, yeah, he's got some decisions to make. But injury-wise, Jay Williams, I believe, is still out. Don Pereira, we haven't seen yet. I'm not sure if he's back or not. But otherwise, I think he will probably... He loves sticking to a team he's picking. And we haven't seen many changes to the lineup so far this year, but something's got to change if they want to start getting results. But is Chesterfield the team to change it against and try something new? Because it could absolutely backfire. I mean, I mentioned Carl McFadden. When him and Pablo Mills were centre-backs for Crawley, it was the best defence Crawley had since I've been covering them. They were the partnership that got them up from the National League or Conference, whenever it was then, to League Two and then League One. They both played at Old Trafford together. They're fantastic. What a partnership. And I was surprised to see he was still playing. He's 38 now, Carl McFadden, but easily one of the best players Crawley have had, I would say. It's going to be a really, really tough trip. If I'm really pessimistic, I'll say, a draw is absolutely the best Crawley can get there. But you never know. It might be the day it all fires for Shamanga and he scores a hat-trick. Let's hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so indeed. Yes, and finally, as is tradition, score predictions. And we will start in the Premier League on Sunday with Brighton against Man City. Derren, I think this could quite literally be anything. I would hate to be the man making the prediction.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a lively 2-2, but I certainly wouldn't put any of my money on it. I don't think, but yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-2. I think going to be an entertaining game.
Yes, I think that we know that for certain, Sam. I think it'll be entertaining. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I think it will be a good game, end-to-end game. I think Man City will be looking to bounce back after that pretty poor performance against Spurs, you have to say. And obviously Brighton will be looking for their first win of the season. So I do think that makes for an entertaining game. I think they'll have settled for a 1-1 draw.
What do you reckon, Mark?
I think it'll be an entertaining one as well. I think one team will edge it and it will be 3-2. I think there'll definitely be goals in it. I can't pick, I don't know, Manchester Albion or Brighton City will win 3-2.
Top fencing.
It will go either way, but I think there will be a winner.
Yes. Oh, okay, excellent. And finally, Crawley at Chesterfield. Mark.
I'm going to be optimistic and go they're going to battle out a really boring 0-0 draw and get a really confidence-boosting point. But I know the other two aren't going to agree with me on this one, including yourself, Matt, probably.
They'd take a 0-0, Sam, wouldn't they? What do you reckon?
They would take that and run. But yeah, let's be optimistic. I'll go with another 1-1 draw and a bit of a smash and grab. Chesterfield will dominate, but Crawley will nick and goal.
Come on, Derren.
They're realistic.
Yeah, that's a bit realism here, Derren.
If Grimsby can beat Manchester United, then surely Crawley can go and beat Chesterfield. But I don't think it will happen. I'm going to go 2-0 Chesterfield.
2-0 Chesterfield. Oh dear. Well, fingers crossed for Crawley on Saturday, and best of luck to Brighton on Sunday. Thank you very much for joining us this week, chaps. Don't forget you can catch up with all the latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and we will see you all next week.